How about the return of hoops to Turner Gymnasium? November is in full effect, and you know what that means. Division III men's basketball on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Evan Gates alongside Sam Graham. It's a non-conference matchup between the Regent Royals and the hometown Lynchburg Hornets. And Sam, it's been a very long time since we've seen this squad. It's going to look a lot different today, and super excited to get things started.
Yeah, Evan, you said it's November. I think might have to check on that. It kind of feels like Christmas morning a little bit. It's always a pleasure to have basketball. We've gotten things kicked off on the women's side. 2 games already, a 1-1 record for them. But, yeah, getting to unveil some new jerseys, some new faces, and a new year. And I know that nobody's more excited to ring in that new year than head coach Hillary Scott. He's really excited about some of these new pieces. And, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of the guys we're going to see right off the jump, right into the starting lineup. Only one returner is going to start tonight for Lynchburg, and that is number 33, the sophomore combo guard, Pearson Young. He will be joined out there by Jake Hart. He'll run the point. DeAndre or Dre Ross, probably going to be the shooting guard here tonight. Jonathan Faust and Cameron O'Connor will round out the starting 5. A pair of transfers there, Faust and O'Connor. Dre Ross, a transfer as well. So, yeah, a lot to be excited about, a lot of new faces here in the Hill City.
And then looking at the opposing team, Regent, another team that has 3 freshmen in their starting lineup. They go out with DJ Dillon, Christopher Norman. That's that backcourt that has been solid, and we've seen some of the stuff they can bring to the table, as well as Mark Nice, Micah Eastman, and Chaz Moody. And Regent, a team that last year just 3 wins on the schedule, but again, lots of new faces. We've seen some injections of energy throughout their first couple of games, and though the scoreline hasn't necessarily shown it yet, they're going to come out and really give Lynchburg a test today.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, like we've already said, you look at the starting lineups, it's not just the starting lineups. I mean, yeah, Lynchburg, we probably expect to see 8 returners will probably play tonight. We'll see how many actually get on the floor for Coach Scott. For Regent, slightly shallower bench, just 14 rostered guys. Still a big team, though, for collegiate basketball. But, yeah, I mean, when you're unveiling this many new faces and take even that part away, just the fact that it's night 1. I mean, we have a lot of returners on the women's basketball team, but sometimes, you know, knocking off the rust in that first game, you're not sure exactly what you're going to get. So, you know, we'll see. 2 teams that are probably going to feel each other out early, and I think we'll have some fireworks in the second half.
John Faust, Chaz Moody line up in the circle. Here we go from Turner Gymnasium, a fresh 40. And right away, Christopher Norman going to direct this offense. Regent, a team that likes the high ball screen. They're going to try to use the pick and roll to their advantage throughout this contest.
Man defense early here for Lynchburg. How about those new uniforms, Evan? Unveiled the new grays here, a darker shade. Gotta say, I'm a fan.
Shot off the mark. O'Connor with the rebound. You don't always get a new jersey for the first game of the season, and you bring the crowd out. That might bring some energy to the locker room as well. Faust going to go across the court. Nice dish down low. O'Connor has his first basket as a Hornet, and you have to like what you're seeing so far.
Well, I'll just go ahead and jump out with 2 things. That's one of the fastest possessions I've seen Lynchburg play, one of the most deliberate possessions I've seen them play over these past 2 years. I think it really got going with number 1 there, Jake Hart, a pass-first point guard, running with a lot of confidence here, especially for a freshman.
Hart, the freshman from Fuquay Varina. Pearson Young going to grab the rebound, and again, a team from Coach Hillary Scott, as he's talked about, they're going to like to run, try to get out to the races, but you also have to be disciplined. And John Faust, ball rolls around and out, but another example of the speed that they have.
And again, it's, you know, not even just the speed. Sometimes you play with speed, you look like a chicken with your head chopped off. You know, it's the deliberateness, it's the confidence, and everybody playing with that. That one rims out for Faust, but still a great take to the hoop.
Going down the court, here's Dre Ross, a nice move to the bucket. And right away, a few easy ones for Lynchburg. They are moving and grooving in the start of this contest.
Let's go ahead and point out our first woo of the season. Lynchburg, 3 defensive stops to open the year. I think that's going to excite Coach Scott more than anything else here in the first less than 2 minutes.
One of the most active benches in D3. You don't have a stat for that. You watch this Lynchburg team, you know what you're going to get with the energy. It's going to be a blocking call.
Yeah, Pearson Young a little bit disappointed there. You know, he felt like he was in there in space, in time, and it was a delayed call as well. But, you know, Coach Scott talked about that just the other day, that, you know, with some of the new rules, new stipulations with the charge block rule, said we're probably going to see a lot more blocks. And, you know, for a team that is going to play fast and physical, that's a little bit of a bummer, and you got that right there with Pearson Young.
That new rule, you have to be set before the first foot goes down. trying to move into that attacking motion, and the technicalities in the rule book always a little different. It's going to be on the line. We're heading the other way. And right away, you notice the Hornets' energy just filling Turner. It's not a big gym. When you can pack it, especially early in the season, you're going to hear it if you're an opposing team.
This is a big game for Lynchburg, too. You know, I mean, obviously it's a team that struggled last year, struggled way more than they're used to, and now a 16th season under head coach Scott. I believe it was 11 straight winning seasons entering last year, and then just 6 wins a year ago. So to get some fans in here, you want to give them a win. You want to give them some excitement at the very least. You know, try to get them coming back for more and tell a friend.
November, that's what it's all about. Really getting that word out there, and Dre Ross, a great example of it. We've seen a few drives so far from Ross. It just seems like he's not scared to get to the hoop, and that's going to open up the drive and dish if this team can really start hitting from the perimeter.
Word on Dre Ross is that at just 6'1", he can dunk with slides on. We have not seen that in person. So again, you know, don't start spreading that all over Twitter. Don't take that, what I said, and run with it and say Sam Graham said, you know, Dre Ross is jumping out of the gym. But the word is one of the best athletes in the conference, maybe in Division III.
Joaquin Marie Joseph enters the game, and nobody's going to hold you to that the early part of the season. But if you have, or even a rumor of somebody doing that on a D3 team, you have to pay some attention. Here's Christopher Norman trying to direct that offense. Haven't found the bucket yet. 5-0 Hornets in the early going. Norman just trying to get to the bucket. Nice defense and pressure up front. Here's Cameron O'Connor guarding it. Nice, goes to the corner. It's another call heading the other way. Foul down low.
Yeah, that time I think we did get, obviously, the charge going against Regents, able to draw the foul. That time was Lynchburg, so 1-1 in that department. Yeah, Lynchburg looks like still sticking with that man defensively. Obviously have not given up a bucket. I believe it's now 5 straight stops to open this game. I will say, it looks like Jonathan Fowl starting to just sort of take up residence around the inside the painted area. Rather, it's not painted here in Turner Gymnasium, but inside the blocks. So keep an eye on that, but everybody else appears to still be in man.
Quick passing out to Hart. He's going to open with the 3. No good, rims out. This is a Lynchburg team that shoots the 3 ball well when they can get on a streak. They keep it going. Shot 29% last season. And the athleticism that you add with some of those new transfers really going to open up options when this offense is humming.
Second woo just rang in from the Lynchburg sideline. You might have heard that picked up by our crowd mic. That means we're coming up on what could be a second consecutive 3 straight stops for this Lynchburg defense. 6th possession of the game for Regent.
If you're Coach Hillary Scott, you love how your team's opening up. 16th season for Coach, and he has seen lots of positive moments with Lynchburg. 2015-2016 ODAC champs. Another shot off the mark, but Regent's going to hold this one. Still working in the corner. Out to DJ Dillon, just going to skip it around. And Clark, a few dribbles, can't connect. Deflection off of Regent. It'll be Lynchburg basketball.
That's 6, Evan. Some more woos from the Lynchburg defense. Lynchburg sideline, I should say. Yeah, I think defense is going to get this team fired up more than just about anything. And we'll see Miles Taylor, arguably the top returning prospect here for Lynchburg. He enters the game for the first time. Believe throughout this year he's going to be pretty interchangeable with Pearson Young. The two of them are going to alternate time at the 3.
Taylor played just about every position on the court last season. Some of that experimentation from Coach Hillary Scott. And when you have a deep roster and a deep bench that you're going to use, that is always a positive sight. Another one of those returners, Jason Easton. He was phenomenal from 3-point range last season. He led this team from 3. Shot 48%, and that's not just a small sample size.
Biggest thing with Easton will be getting those attempts up. That's something we saw in the second year with Elijah Davis, who's inactive tonight with a hamstring injury. Sorry to steal your thunder, Evan. Jordan Parham, JP, knocking home the first triple of the year for the Hornets.
Jordan Parham, one of those players in the scrimmage for Lynchburg early in the season that was phenomenal. Shooting, really connecting. And quickly Regent just a little off kilter. And it's going to be the first immediate timeout of the contest. But Coach Hillary Scott loving it. Lynchburg up 8-0 in the early going from Turner Gymnasium. 8-0 Hornets early from Turner Gymnasium, the opening contest of this men's basketball season. So glad you're joining us on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. And Jordan Parham going to pull up this time off the mark. And here's Cam O'Connor to the paint and pass out. We're going to see that a lot from Lynchburg. Here's O'Connor for three. He nails it. The transfer from Longwood getting things started in his point scoring column.
What a smooth stroke from the big man. O'Connor going to play the 5, but they're going to run a lot of the offense through him. That time, not so much running through him, just going to him. He knocks it down from the wing.
O'Connor, one of those players who really can change a team. Coach Scott talked about him and just the culture that he's going to bring, being with the Division III program, as well as the experience as a grad transfer from Roanoke, Virginia, Northside High School. He really has a good feel for the game, as does Jake Hart. And it's a lay, but no, it's going to be a travel before he gets to the rim.
That's one of those day one errors, I think. First day of school, you know. Obviously doing a great job breaking on the ball there was hard. He kind of shakes it off. No complaints from the freshman. I tell you, though, Evan, you look at him, he really doesn't look like a freshman out there. He looks experienced. He looks older. I mean, just very mature first year here for Hillary Scott's squad.
And always being a pass-first point guard, it takes a lot of experience and feel for the game. Here's Regent moving the other way, and here's a steal. Miles Taylor down the field. Nice lay, but he can't. No, he can. Miles Taylor finishes. Those are the plays that they can make look so easy. Some of those you and I might not be able to connect on.
Maybe not. The two of us might be a little more successful from deep than we would down low. But, you know, there's probably a reason we're up here and not down there.
Marie Joseph gets it taken away. Hornets 13 unanswered to start this contest. Parham trying to keep it in. Instead, it's out, and we're heading the other way.
Really like what I'm seeing and what Cam O'Connor's giving this Lynchburg team so far. Probably not going to see, he's a guy that's going to be on the floor a lot, but certainly the hustle's there, the physicality's there. He's got that T.C. Thacker type build, long and strong. But yeah, I mean, showing it off with the 3-ball earlier, and defensively he's been great.
One of those guys you want to run the offense through. His presence down low, something that Lynchburg hasn't necessarily had in the past, as Marie Joseph finally gets Regent on the board.
See if that takes the lid off a little bit here for Regent, but you really can't point to the shooting. I mean, a lot of these possessions, not even getting a shot off is Regent.
Jason Easton, first 3 of the season. He's picking up right where he left off last year. Another move trying to go inside, and Silas Wirtz travels.
Yeah, Wirtz just got a little bit ahead of himself there. Kind of could just see that one coming. The defense was in on him close. I mean, this is a team right now that's scrambling a little bit in Regent. Certainly, it's a long game, 40 minutes, and we saw this just last night. Women's basketball team here for Lynchburg went down 15-2 early against Bob Jones, came back and won the game in the fourth quarter. Really entertaining fourth quarter that I know you had the call for, Evan. But, yeah, I think right now Regent, you know, and we can talk about this a little bit through our time out here, I think Regent's just trying to find something to grab onto, and Lynchburg so far defensively has taken everything away. So maybe now for Regent it starts on the defensive side.
Well, they're coming off of a game against Shenandoah yesterday as well. Two teams with very different styles that they're playing against. Shenandoah, a team that pressed the entire game. You're trying to run these different offensive sets early in the season, and as we said with the scoreline, it won't necessarily tell you the entire story at this point, but it's about getting some hustle, and Lynchburg just seems like the adrenaline has really carried them early on.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching this team, you know, obviously in pregame warm-ups today. I will say we were a little bit hurried. You know, a lot of our staff here for LHSN did a great job covering NCAA men's soccer tournament right before this, and then had people running over here to Turner Gymnasium to get things set up and ready to go here for this men's basketball opening day. But yeah, you come in and I know you remarked, Evan, wow, this team looks really athletic, really agile, really fast. You don't always know how that's going to translate when you get into the actual game. But this is a Lynchburg team that tried to run some of the style when you talk about getting up and down the court. They tried to do this a lot last year, and it just didn't seem like something was missing. Something wasn't clicking, and maybe it's O'Connor being a 5 that can give you that speed, give you that length, give you that versatility. You know, maybe it's the deliberateness of your 2 guards. I'm not sure. We're going to get a fresh unit here now on the floor for Lynchburg, but the energy has been fantastic out of the gate.
Landon Sutton enters the contest for Lynchburg. Reverse to the far corner. Here's Easton again. He's going to fire, and it's all net. 2 for 2, and that's as smooth as you're going to do it, the sophomore from Buchanan.
Yeah, you're cooking with grease now, Evan. That's the exact same spot on the floor. He catches the ball in stride, doesn't hesitate. It's right back up and in, the mark of a great shooter. No hesitation, no pause in Jason Easton's stroke. He knocks down his second of the game.
Another foul. It's going to head the other way. And when you hit threes early in a game, it's going to open up the lane. Lynchburg can really use their driving abilities. We'll get a quick pause and another substitution. Matthew Mealy will enter the contest for Regent. And a 17-point lead early, but you can't think about that, especially early in the season. You want to use as many different looks as you can get if you're Lynchburg.
Easton could have pulled up there, instead goes down low. Good job probing and attacking.
Reversal, Sutton. Back to Easton. Out on the perimeter, no one settling. And Sutton this time just a step too far on the line. Regent will get possession. 12:52 in the first half. Lynchburg up 17.
A little bit of a miscue there for Sutton. He tried to check his feet. He was just already sort of standing there on the line, didn't have time to correct it. But, you know, stuff like that's going to happen. Lynchburg's still moving with a lot of poise on the offensive end.
Sutton got his hand on it going the other way. Here's Parham, and JP finishes. Run and gun for Lynchburg, and the bench loving it here in Turner.
I'm speechless, Evan. I have no words.
21 points. They're going to do it again. Parham for 3.
Heat check.
Not going to work. I think you made a good point. At this point, it seems like anything you can throw up might go up and in.
Yeah, I understand that to a certain degree. I will say, as soon as Parham let go of that shot, my eyes went directly to Coach Scott, and it was a big clap of the hands and a little stomp of the foot. So a little bit of disappointment maybe with that shot. But again, I totally understand it there for Parham. You know, he's got a quick 5 points coming off the bench. He's given a big boost to this Lynchburg team early on. I understand, you know, with a 19-point lead, I think it's okay to pull up for a 3 in transition.
Have to separate that adrenaline rush from making good decisions. Lynchburg trying to do it. Still on the perimeter. Lots of cuts inside from Regent. Here's Darren Clark. He's not going to get anywhere. Mealy pulls up. And nice work down low just to keep the ball free. That was number 15, Marque Palasa.
Getting a chance to see Darren Clark there with the ball. My intel has told me our very own Brian Flowers, a friend of Mr. Clark here for Regent, believe Brian Flowers is in the house with us tonight somewhere. I don't think he's on staff tonight, but sure he's out here supporting his friend and supporting, of course, his home team, the Lynchburg Hornets.
11:50 to play. Norman, little disjointed as Sutton causes a turnover. Back the other way. James for 3, gonna miss, but a nice shot selection, and Jason Easton trying to keep it in. Did Sutton get it off Norman? We'll wait for the call. Yes, he did.
What an effort from Sutton. Lynchburg sideline loves it. Bench area stepping on outside and onto the court. I don't know if we've gotten that bench warning yet tonight, Evan, from the officials, but we'll see. Certainly the energy high there on down the floor to our right.
Some of those calls that it's all about hustle plays, and Miles Taylor gets to the dish.
Cookie crisp down low. Miles Taylor, the cut. He's ready for the ball. I said it the other night on the women's basketball stream. You got to check that back door. Wind will blow it open this time of year.
Seems like hustle is all around the court. And another cost turnover from James, and Lynchburg's bench is feeling it once again.
It's Sutton. It's Dre Ross. It's it's Kevon James. It's everybody. Defensively, that's where it started. Offensively, things taking care of themselves. Obviously, a lot of the shots dropping so far, but Lynchburg, a whole lot of poise and a whole lot of patience. It's paying off. Up 21. They've allowed 2 points in the first 8:45.
Lots of hustle. We'll take a quick break from Turner Gymnasium, but back with more men's basketball on the other side. 23-2 Hornets.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport, and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Lynchburg back in possession before we can really catch our breath. Easton fires a three, but no good. And Regent heading the other way, down 21 early. The Hornets have just had a little more hustle. And on defense, they have really shaken things up as Henderson gets another steal.
Great heads-up play from Henderson. Out ahead, Landon Sutton.
Everybody moving around and making sure they get to the bucket. It just seems like time and place are on Lynchburg's side. 25 points. They're on pace for 100 right now if they keep things up.
Coach Scott told us last year they were trying to hit 100 in the season opener against Mary Washington. He might have just been a little ahead of himself. His team looks fantastic right now. Henderson coast to coast, and the finger roll at the basket, first collegiate points.
Two quick disruptions on the defensive end. They say defense will bring you offense, and exactly what Lynchburg is doing. And Regent just trying to get a feel for this game. Taylor got his hand on it. It'll stay with the Royals.
Right idea there for Taylor. Sometimes the right idea just doesn't quite pan out. Certainly still making a good play on the ball.
You can see right away.
Sorry to cut you off. Since slightly corrected, I thought the call there was out of bounds. There was a foul call on the floor as well, so it wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day. My apologies.
So far, it's early season for all of us. I think we're going to have a few here or there. But for Lynchburg, they are looking like a mid-season team right now. Three fired and connects for DJ Dillon, the freshman from Franklin, Virginia.
And that's what you got to do there if you're Regent. You've got an opportunity to take the ball out under your own basket, come up with a little set piece.
And how about the local guy? Pearson Young, the sophomore. He's one of those guys you bring back as a returner. It just seems like he had a great feel for a little bit of everything last year. Coach Scott really hammered that down early.
Yeah, Pearson Young, a guy that was 3 assists shy of a triple-double against Eastern Mennonite last year. I had the pleasure of being on the call for that one. He's a do-it-all guard, maybe not necessarily known for his scoring ability first and foremost, but he's a guy that can go and get you 10 or 15 in a hurry.
Playasa down low. He's going to get fouled. Offensive rebound. And yeah, Pearson Young, just one of those guys for this roster. You talk about toughness and just going out and competing. Last year, a Lynchburg team that only had 6 wins, but it seemed like you really knew what you were going to get from Young, and as a freshman, that's not something you see all the time.
And Coach Scott could not have hammered the point home more. He said, out of all of his guys, obviously, they all want to win. It's collegiate athletics. He said, Pearson Young, man, that's a guy that wants to go out there and compete every single night. He's going to compete the entire 40 minutes. He's going to compete for every rep in practice. He's going to compete in the weight room. Said he just never really turns off the fire in Pearson Young. So I'm sure last season was rough on him as it was for everybody with this team, but certainly got to be liking how his team's playing early on tonight.
Very contagious spread of energy, too. When you have 1 or 2 guys on the roster who can do it, seems like everyone's getting involved. Hornets spread the floor again, working around the perimeter. Sutton to Young. Few dribbles inside, back outside. Faust to Henderson, can't connect. But still keeping it. Pearson Young's going to have another look. Just can't find the bottom.
Lynchburg doing a great job to maintain possession there.
And how about another defensive stop?
I like the backcourt rotation right now of Sutton and Pearson Young as well.
Henderson, he's going to get it out to Sutton, to James for 3, just can't finish. Offensive rebounds everywhere. And a little more like volleyball, no one wants it. And foul finally called on the baseline. It's going to be on Playasa.
By and large, I do like what I've seen from Regent coming out of the break. Defensively, there's a renewed effort. They're starting to match some of Lynchburg's speed and patience. And then on the offensive side, a couple of solid possessions, obviously drawing up the 3 there a couple possessions ago off the set piece from the inbounds under their own basket.
Turnovers, one of the parts of Regent's game they really are going to try and correct this season. Averaged just about 25 a game last season, and you come in against teams like Lynchburg who like to run. They're going to rack up the points off turnovers. Here's Young. Step, just can't connect.
And on that possession, Christopher Norman got isolated there. Regent coming out in the Staples zone, and Norman was trying to guard 2 people. Obviously, the shot doesn't drop, but another great opportunity for Lynchburg, just staying patient.
Mealy corralled the rebound. He's going to travel. And Lynchburg will head the other way. A couple of substitutions. It's Cam O'Connor back in the game along with DeAndre Ross.
If it makes Mealy feel any better, J.J. Henderson was moments away from tying up the ball, and that would have been possession arrow Lynchburg's way anyway. So Lynchburg is probably going to wind up with the ball in any scenario there.
That's the type of pressure that they have really employed early on. Seems like all over the court, and for a team that really spreads the floor offensively, it's a great look when you can still apply pressure as James gets the 3 and a little oohing and aahing from the crowd.
Love to see that from Kevon James. First 2 didn't drop for him. He's still continuing to rise up with a lot of confidence. Looks good on the shot, comes up with a steal on the other end.
Kevon James, the senior from Virginia Beach. He might get another look. Across the court to O'Connor for 3, and it's bottom. 30-point lead in the first half, and we've still got 7 minutes to go.
I tell you what, Evan, I said it on his first 3. Cam O'Connor, a guy that's never going to force it. You just look at his stroke. It's just somebody that jumps off the page. It's like this guy, he knows what he's doing from deep. His shot just looks beautiful.
6'5" grad student, and though Lynchburg isn't a tall team, he still has some height, and getting out on the perimeter is a big positive as Mealy gets to the bucket, and toughness on display for 2.
Good strong take there from Mealy, just kind of shedding off his defender, biggest guy that Regent has out here on the floor and on the roster. Does a good job utilizing that size on that possession.
How about Jonathan Faust? He got the rebound, just couldn't get the pass across the court. And turnover that will send the ball the Royals' way. Lynchburg, a very tough schedule to open last season. They played Mary Washington and Christopher Newport, and those are 2 teams that can really test your confidence, especially with the freshmen that they had. And this is a team that we see, though there are a lot of newcomers, still lots of experience with those transfers.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and stay here because I think you bring up a great point here. We're talking about schedule a little bit. It's something that you and I discussed with Coach Scott. I think, yeah, I mean, and they'll have Mary Washington early in the year again this year. You love some of those, interstate rivalries, if you will, even if it's not within Virginia. Some North Carolina schools, they'll get Methodist every year. Those games are always a whole lot of fun. So it's not like the schedule is easy per se, but I think that the way it's structured out this year, especially with the depth within conference play, and you have 2 different slates of conference action. You got one starting up here in just a few days. Lynchburg will play Randolph. I think it's very beneficial to give yourself some more evenly matched games. That's sort of the way Coach Scott put it. Coming out of the gate, try to set some good opportunities for yourself to pick up some wins in the early going. That doesn't mean you're going to start off X-0, whatever that number may be. But again, Mary Washington was a borderline tournament, borderline top 25 team a season ago. That wasn't a team that necessarily Lynchburg matched up great with, especially not on night 1.
And we have seen just trying to get familiar with each other. Obviously, there's practice early in the season, but it takes some game reps to really get that feel back as Young corrals the rebound, heading the other way. To the bucket, Ross dishes off to O'Connor. He's going to get open. Another chance. Just can't get this one to connect. We've seen DeAndre Ross a few times from the perimeter. Really nice work just to move inside. Lots of ball control throughout this Lynchburg roster.
Yeah, Evan, I think we're pretty close to the rafters up here. They look a little bit dusty. I think maybe if he jumps off a little harder, I think we might be able to get Dre Ross up top. He can grab a Swiffer and dust that, those pipes off a little bit.
By the end of the season, he might be cleaning the entire roof. Here is Regent heading the other way, and Pearson Young saw it the entire way. Nice little move, and he's going to get the layup.
Young was maybe 5 feet away from the bottom of the basket when that pass started to make its way towards the Regent player. He picks it off, reads it perfectly. Pearson Young played football in high school. I'm not sure what position. He looked like a DB there, though.
Easy disruption of that passing lane, and Young, one of those guys, another great example of basketball IQ, as Alex Fitch grabs the rebound. And turnover going down the court. Fitch, the senior from Ashburn, last season 32% from three-point land, average just under 7 a game, and he's another crucial piece for this Lynchburg squad.
Started his career at Division II Millersville. He's come in and just year over year gives the Hornets some consistency on the offensive end. Slow start to last year. He really came on the second half, especially the last couple weeks of the year. Had several double-figure games there towards the end. Makes a mistake there trying to, work the ball down ahead to Dre Ross, who was ahead of the defense for Regent. But again, Lynchburg, most of the mistakes they've made so far have been mistakes trying to do the right thing, and you can live with that as a coach.
Mark Nice tried to get it up and in, unable to do so, and the Hornets head the other way. Here's Henderson. Lots of different moments of growth for Lynchburg. You're going to play an ODAC schedule every year that continues to get better. Right now, 2 ranked teams with Hampton-Sydney and Randolph-Macon. And don't forget that Guilford is lingering right outside. Turnover from Young, but Regent turns it right back the other way. Henderson, bounce pass into Pearson Young. He makes it look easy.
Getting to see Michael Gray for the first time tonight here for Lynchburg. And, yeah, his size certainly stands out, 6'1", 200, a guard here. Newcomer to this team, a freshman, and kind of like Jay Carty, does not look like a freshman. You could say the same about J.J. Henderson. Lynchburg's gotten a very mature recruiting class in here for the class of, let's see, what would it be now, 2028, 2027? I don't know. I'm getting too old, Evan.
They're making us feel really old, and Lynchburg can do that to the opposing teams with some of the youth they have shown. Lots of speed, lots of athleticism. Can't connect that time. Regent trying to pick up the pace. Norman into traffic. He gets fouled, and he'll head to the line for 2.
For Regent, it's finding that fine line. It was a couple of possessions ago. Can't remember who's, the shot went off from, but it was right along the baseline. I thought it was, just rushed a little bit. Didn't think it was a great shot. But then sometimes when you can get downhill and you sense bodies around you, you can go up strong, draw the foul. It's finding that line of, what's a shot that makes sense here and what's, maybe could be avoided to wait for a better opportunity.
Early in the season, you're going to see more of those looks, just trying to figure out what the looks should be like if you want to get on the scoreboard. And example for Lynchburg, they were a team that ran lots of motion last year, as there's a nice dish and move to the bucket for Marion Brown. But Lynchburg, a team that this year is going to be a little more calculated on the offensive end.
Yeah, great take there from Marion Brown. The offense has certainly picked up. At the very least, Regent getting shots off on most possessions now. That's the first piece of the puzzle. Obviously, you're down 30. There's a lot to talk about at the halftime break, but starting to do some things a little bit better.
Zone defense for Regent. They go 3-2. Lots of reversing for Lynchburg. This time to the corner, fires but no good. And Brown has open court. He'll just slow things down. Norman to the bucket. He's going to dish outside.
Good job getting back by the Lynchburg defense. O'Connor trying to keep that ball in play. Actually set off a fast break for Regent, but again, Lynchburg gets back to stop it.
Brown a couple dribbles and another pull-up. Trying to just get something started for the Royals. Who's going to be that spark? And Marion Brown, the freshman from Chesapeake, doing just that. Lots of freshmen on this Regent roster, and that can be a positive sign early in the season when you're just getting those new looks and seeing what coach likes. Stays with Lynchburg. Silas Wirtz will enter the game, the junior from Kannapolis, North Carolina. Shares the point guard duties with Christopher Norman. And quick turnover as Regent gets it going the other way. Wirtz across the court. And it's going to be a blocking foul. Another example of what Coach Scott talked about. Maybe a few more this season than we've seen in the past.
Another one of those 50-50 calls. Yeah, I mean, on that one, I definitely thought that was the right call. I thought, obviously a great hustle play there from Michael Gray. I did think he slid in there just a little bit late. But again, right idea. Lynchburg making mistakes. They're making it at a high speed, though, and they're making mistakes with the right idea. It's like that Cam O'Connor play a moment ago. It set off a fast break here for Regent, but still you got to applaud the hustle. He's trying to award an offensive rebound and an extended possession for his team.
Maybe just about controlled aggression. Micah Eastman gets the old-fashioned three-point play. Lynchburg will set up the offense again. Fitch outside for three, rims out. But a nice rebound from Hart, and the Hornets keep it going.
Yeah, that's your point guard, Jake Hart, going out there and grabbing the rebound. Averaged 12, 9, and 8. That's 8 assists, 9 rebounds his senior year of high school. So certainly a guy that can do it all. A little bit of a Ricky Rubio out here on the floor for this Lynchburg team. The floor general.
Seems like he can really get his teammates going, and maybe Mark Nice can do the same for Regent. They're starting to get some better looks, especially in the mid-range, not settling for three or not trying to drive, just finding their spots.
Yeah, the lead's still 23 for Lynchburg, but again, I mean, this had ballooned well over 30 points just a moment ago. Regent putting together a mini run here, and again, the offensive looks have gotten a whole lot better coming out of, I believe it was that timeout around the 6-minute mark. Check that, it was a little bit earlier than that, but certainly a renewed intensity, especially on the offensive end. They're stringing together some stops as well.
Marie Joseph got the rebound, sending it the other way. Wirtz trying to spark a fire into the offense. Brown will finally miss one, and now the Hornets in transition. Gray from the corner, just can't connect. Maybe going a little cold are the Hornets here late in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, they're slacking a little bit. They've only scored 40 points here in the first half. You know, I mean, eventually some shots just aren't going to drop. And Regent's a little bit slow on their closeouts. Gray taking advantage of the mismatch. He had a much bigger defender on him there and uses the speed. Just go ahead and rise up and take that shot. It just doesn't fall for him.
Micah Eastman will go to the line again. Michael Gray will get the personal. 4 fouls on Regent, 9 on Lynchburg. Late in the first half, just 75 seconds to play. And as you pointed out, 40 points in the first half. We saw some games last year where Lynchburg was getting close to that for the entire game. So lots of tempo and a new look Hornets that everyone seems excited to see.
Yeah, not sure if 100, I'm not sure if this will be the night for that, but certainly a great start. They set the tone early in this game. And it gives you a little bit of a cushion when if those shots start to not drop with the same frequency, you can sit back and say, well, we did have that 30-point cushion. Now Regent's been on a run, but you're still up by 21.
One of the main problems last year for Lynchburg was finding how to operate the offense when the shooting went cold, where your Jason Eastons in those situations. Marie Joseph got the ball, but Hart finds a way to get it right back, and under the bucket is O'Connor for 2.
Lynchburg had 2 guys ready there to capitalize on the assist from Jordan Parham on the wing. I like the speed of Joakim Marie Joseph breaking on the ball. It's a little bit deceiving. He comes in 6'6", junior forward, and a big 6'6". But yeah, doing a great job breaking on the ball. Just maybe wasn't the right guy to try and engineer a fast break there for Regent.
Lynchburg's substitution, it's Jonathan Faust back into the contest. 42 seconds to play. And what we've seen as well with Lynchburg's big guy, Cam O'Connor, one of those guys where he can run the baseline, but when you also have him on the perimeter, it's going to open up options later this season, and that brings the opposing big man outside, as we saw there. Nice look for 2 from Faust.
I really don't know if Kevon James makes that pass last year, and that's no slight against him at all, but just, this Lynchburg team is, we said it with Jake Hart. It's a whole Lynchburg team that's turned into a pass-first unit.
Marie Joseph over the top and in.
It's a matchup they'll need to exploit more in the second half.
James, 4 seconds left. He gets the 3 off, no good. Ball still loose. Regent from half, it won't even matter as the first half concludes, and 44-21 shining on the scoreboard, and Coach Hillary Scott must be loving it for Lynchburg as they have a big lead. We'll come back with some halftime stats and analysis from Turner Gymnasium on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Tim Slusser from the Outdoor Leadership Program gave a presentation at a Teaching and Learning Resources Conference here about getting his program more involved on the academic side of campus. I mentioned computers and mapping, and he mentioned caving, and eventually we came up with the idea of mapping caves.
So the week before, we were able to learn how to use the instruments kind of like on a flat surface and just kind of get a hang of how they work. But it was really amazing how once we got in the cave, it was a completely different experience using them.
It was unique. It got most of us out of our comfort zone, kind of gave us a new experience, a new taste of something new. But I think the most difficult parts were getting the lighting right. You had to read the instruments with the headlamps while keeping your eye pointed on the plot point.
This allowed them to actually literally get their hands dirty, collecting data, conducting measurements, and putting all that together in the form of a map, and doing it in a place that's never been mapped before.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the Athletic Training Laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
How our lives The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
Back with you for a little halftime chat. Lynchburg 44, Regent 21. It's a little bit different than what we saw last season, and wow, we have to catch our breath a little bit after the first 20 minutes. Lynchburg forcing 22 turnovers for Regent. Their defense has been all over the place, and Sam, it just seems like the energy's a little bit better than what we've seen in the past few seasons.
Yeah, I think for me there were three main things I was looking for coming into tonight's game. The first one was one that Coach Scott harped on a ton. That was defense. The Lynchburg defense came out and forced, I believe it was somewhere around 7 or 8 straight defensive stops to open the game. Okay, check mark there. Lynchburg goes up 23-2 early on, right out of the jump. The second is the shooting. Okay, suffered a little bit down the stretch, maybe a few more threes than Lynchburg might have been, comfortable or aiming to take there at the tail end of the first half. But still, patient, poised offense leads to good shot selection, easier shots, and Lynchburg's knocking them down. That's the second part. The third part, the newcomers. We had a lot of them. We started 4 of them. How were they going to look? I thought the 2 guards especially, and then Cam O'Connor as well, operating out of that stretch 5 role. I thought those 3 guys, so Dre Ross, Jake Hart, and Cam O'Connor, I thought they came in, they set the tone from the opening jump. And I think the rest of this team, you saw guys Landon Sutton, Miles Taylor, Alex Fitch, Pearson Young, these returners, I thought they followed right into suit. It's where you get in the culture piece, and it's all coming together right now for Lynchburg.
Well, we know a game is 2 halves, and what we saw in the first 20 minutes was fantastic. Well, you even mentioned about DeAndre Ross. It seemed like the first couple of plays that Lynchburg came down, they weren't going to miss. They were just getting to the rack and attacking, making good things happen. And what you said about defense leading to offense, it's not always that simple. The blueprint gets a little bit crazier as you head into conference play. We know that there are stretches in the ODAC that you just can't avoid when you have teams like Randolph-Macon, who have been national champs in the last few years, Christopher Newport, national champs, who are normally in Lynchburg's schedule we've seen in the last few years. So it's about getting things done in these games and the non-conference schedule, and the Hornets have really done an efficient job so far.
Yeah, let's talk ODAC preseason poll and the ODAC slate. We're going to get way ahead of ourselves here, so let's just keep that in mind as you listen to my next spiel here. So your top 4 of your top 6 teams in the ODAC preseason poll, the 4 ODAC teams that a season ago were 20-win teams, Lynchburg's going to get all 4 of those in a row later on down the road. That's Hampton, Sidney, Randolph-Macon, Guilford, and Roanoke. 4 in a row, back to back to back to back. So, yeah, I think that point cannot be overstated, that we have these games early on in the season that Coach Scott has scheduled, it's not necessarily that you can just mark them all down as wins, but they're these games where Lynchburg's a little more evenly matched. They're certainly not in over their heads. You got to take advantage, and they've certainly done that. They rose to the occasion, and they're up 23 at the half.
Defense leading to domination here on Turner Gymnasium. We got 3 minutes left until the second half. We'll take another quick break and have a fresh 20 on the other side. Hornets up big.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
How you feeling?
Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
My name is Alexis Fabula. I major in criminology and I double minor in psychology and criminal forensics. My favorite part about Lynchburg is the friends that I've come to have. It's helped me come out of my shell more, and it's helped me become the person I am and the student I am. I really enjoyed how small the campus was, and I also really enjoy how small the class sizes are. It made me feel like I was going to be more engaged than I would at a bigger campus. If someone was on the fence of coming to the University of Lynchburg, I would definitely love to sit down and have a conversation with them, because I'm forever grateful that I made this choice. It's definitely something that a student wouldn't regret. Out of my 4 years here, I've not had one bad experience. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm going to be very sad to go.
Cam O'Connor leads the way, leads all scorers with 10 points there in the first half, but Lynchburg doing a great job spreading the ball around, getting about everybody involved. Just a hair under 10 different scores for Lynchburg in that first half, many of them with 3 or more points. And the shooting, it's been great. I mean, Lynchburg 33% from 3. We don't have our live stats up right now in front of us. I would venture to say we had some misses from from long range there towards the end of that first half, but Lynchburg, especially early on, doing a great job knocking down the easy open shots, 48% from the floor. Only 38% for Regent. You might think with a 23-point disparity that it's worse, but where Regent ran into trouble so often was just these possessions not even getting off a shot.
Young, the 1-2 dribble to the paint. Another offensive rebound. Lynchburg picking up right where they left off. And DeAndre Ross will lose the basketball. It's heading the other way. And, great point with some of the three-point shooting. I think a lot of people early in the season might be over analytical or a little critical of shot selection, but when you're making 7 threes, that means that you had pretty good shot selection, at least good enough to get 7 off and in, and the Hornets have really brought the energy.
Also of note, 17 points from the newcomers there in the first half. Obviously, Cam O'Connor leading the way, his 10 points counting towards that total. And Cam O'Connor draws the charge, a little fist pump on the ground. I love it from the 5th year of the grad transfer, Ada Longwood.
Great positioning. And you even think with some of the rule changes coming into the season, you might be a little anxious to take that charge, just not knowing exactly how the refs are going to officiate it. But nice work from the veteran to come out and show us some disciplined basketball. O'Connor, one of those guys that Coach Scott, it just seems like he can't afford to keep him out of the ball game. And I think as conference play starts winding up, we're going to see his presence down low for the majority of those games, just offensively and defensively. Changing the look for the Hornets as Ross a little up and under.
How do you do, Dre Ross? Up and under might be an understatement. Dre Ross everywhere on that cut to the basket. He crossed midcourt, and it was off to the races.
Seemed like the ball did a whole 360 in the air. And foul called on Pearson Young, first of the half for Lynchburg.
Coach Scott said in our meeting the other day, he said DeAndre Ross is a guy that could be a guy. You know, think about that in quotes. He's a guy who could be that one dude. He's looked like it early on. Maybe not only in the scoring column, but just his presence on the court. 2 points to get the lid off the basket in half number 2.
You love to have those guys in the roster, those who are just true athletes. O'Connor up to Young, another give and go, and Hart finishes. Connecting the dots, not always an easy task, but Lynchburg just passing on full display. And once again, that tempo, a great example of how Lynchburg can run the floor.
And a good job by Chaz Moody, Mary Washington transfer on the other end, getting to the basket as DeAndre Ross, he was ready to bring the roof down. He's fouled on the way up. Goodness gracious. Yeah, the backboard might not have been able to sustain that had he been able to finish.
You have people in the crowd right now on their feet, and when you have them on their feet for a miss, you know it was really close to taking the roof out. Talked about Ross earlier, how he can maybe clean the rafters. Well, he can also destroy the building with some of those plays, and another example of the stuff you can't really teach with that aggression. And the junior from Durham showing he is not afraid of anyone on the other side.
And now shooting just the third and fourth free throws of the game is DeAndre Ross. But, Evan, you know, how about 5 more points for the newcomers to open up the second half? Why not, you know? Get them involved in the action, make them feel at home. I think they're acclimating to Wayne Prophet Court just fine here. 2 points, 2 easy ones there for DeAndre Ross.
We'll talk about the Woo defense, trying to get 3 stops in a row. You have guys on the floor even saying it. But Playasa says no thanks as he gets the easy layup. But you have to turn around and go the other way. Ross, nice dish to O'Connor. He wasn't even looking. And you might need your binoculars.
DeAndre Ross is putting on a show right now, Evan. I couldn't even get in. Either of us couldn't even get in a point about Regent's last offensive take as Lynchburg off and running. Jake Hart to the basket.
You need a little bit of heart, you need a little bit of soul, and Lynchburg's got both rolling right now, but Marion Brown just trying to throw a little disruption in the energy and aura of Turner Gymnasium. We can't overstate it enough. Different field, different look Hornets, and they are getting it done. We're going to take a quick break, but here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network, it's the Hornets up by 29. Pull back the curtains. Lynchburg's putting on a show from the 4-3-4. Just over 17 minutes to play. And the Hornets starting the second half just like they started the first one, and that is with pace.
Starters back on the floor here for Lynchburg. Obviously, if the score kind of continues where it's at right now, we're probably going to see some substitutions as we get into the second half. Good take from Cam O'Connor. I got to be honest, though, I do not want to see DeAndre Ross come off the floor. You said he's putting on a show. He certainly is.
Have to be smart with using that bench. We know Coach Scott is a really big one this season and want to get everybody reps, but also ride the hot hand. Shot no good. On the other side, Wirtz able to collect. And a little behind the back. Playasa into the paint. Nice rotation for Brown, who gets an easy two, just can't connect. And not a smart foul heading the other way that Hart is able to gather. It's on Playasa.
And a really good job there by Hart. Good awareness, that point guard mentality. Senses Playasa, just right there on his backside. Slows up, kind of gets underneath him. He's going to draw the foul every time. Good awareness by Hart.
Few more substitutions. So Marie Joseph enters the contest for the Royals again. Another one of those guys down low. Has a very strong presence. He'll make Cam O'Connor work.
Nearly a backcourt there for Jay Card. I mean, that, if he was maybe one size shoe two, a little bit bigger, he has probably a backcourt against Lynchburg. But luckily, only about 6 foot and change for Jay Card.
Some of those learning moments for all the Hornets. 3 no good. Royals can head the other way and run their offense. We talked earlier in the game, a lot of that high screening action. We haven't seen as many because they really haven't had too many chances to set up the offense. Down the court, Faust, an easy two off the glass and in.
Good assist coming there from Miles Taylor. That pass was on a dime. DeAndre Ross, good hustle. I mean, it almost seems like the Lynchburg team is competing with one another. Who can out-hustle who the most? It's every loose ball, even the ones. I mean, DeAndre Ross had no chance of getting that ball before it went into the third row. He's still diving after it with everything he's got.
That goes back to some of the practices that Coach Scott has talked about. It's just about getting your squad to compete, have some separation. That's not only within the bench, but also from other teams, just proving that you're a little more hungry. That's Taylor out to O'Connor. He's going to take a couple dribbles and draws the foul. It's going to be on the floor.
We'll break down back-to-back possessions here. We'll start with the Regent one. Obviously, that shot doesn't drop there for Joakim Marie Joseph. I understand the tendency. You're down by 33 points. The tendency is going to be three-pointers. It's going to be to try and score quick. I really think that even if it's not tonight, moving forward, that play, just dumping it down to Marie Joseph, he's going to have a size, well, even if it's not a height advantage, he's going to have a size advantage in most of his matchups. I think you got to feed him down low as much as you can.
Faust smart to take his time and get another gimme in the painted area. We have seen John Faust just be in the right spot at the right time. Playasa, nice work to get it off Taylor.
How about the character Faust is, too? I mean, he keeps everybody around him laughing. He's one of LHSN's very own. Really appreciate all of his help coming right on in and contributing, giving back to the campus. He's a great, great guy, somebody that Coach Scott's really happy to have on his group.
Seems like up and down this lineup, that's what the Hornets have this year, and a lot of those transfers, we talked about experience, but they're coming from programs that were very successful. Faust comes from a JUCO college that was very good at basketball. Davidson Davey in Carolina. Hold that thought. Miles Taylor, never mind. He's going to miscorral it, but Lynchburg still with possession.
And Miles Taylor might have been ready to try and bring the house down there. Loses his dribble a little bit. Yeah, shout out Davidson Davey, little Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to the home state. Jonathan Faust bringing his talents up north to the Commonwealth. That's what I did too. I had to go ahead and bring my own talents up here to the Commonwealth.
Well, we know there is a lot of talent involved with that. As Marie Joseph maybe got away with a foul, Lynchburg keeps it under the bucket. And another nice cut from John Faust. You talk about time and place. He can do both.
Yeah, I can't do that. I think if I tried that in this game, I'm getting knocked to the ground and probably sent out of here in a stretcher and ambulance, maybe both. So, yeah, he's one up there for Faust, but I'll give it to him.
That's why they make us call games from up high and not near the court. Try and keep us off, not get any crazy thoughts. As Regent comes back with a 2, but that transition offense, even on a made bucket, the Hornets find ways to get down the court. And Faust weaves his way into the paint. It's going to be a foul. And it looks like 2 shots for number 14 in gray.
Out of box for disappointed looks from Coach Scott tonight. See if we can work that into our stat sheet. Have not seen many. We did get one right there. Obviously, Faust does still draw the foul, but a little interesting attacking with 2 guys right there on him. Again, able to draw the foul, but a little uncharacteristic of what we've seen so far tonight.
Well, you don't see many of those with this Lynchburg team as well, just how they like to spread the floor. I mean, this women's team for Lynchburg this season, they're running a 5-out motion, and that is something that you rarely see. You have to have the right pieces. Obviously, Lynchburg has Cam O'Connor down low. They have other guys who can really work the paint, but it still requires lots of motion, lots of knowing where you're going, and if you can get those cuts out to the corner, really helps you operate.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've only seen 2 3-point attempts. Of course, Jason Easton checking back into the game now, so hold that thought. But I think just a pair of 3-point attempts in the first 6 minutes of this second half. So probably something that Coach Scott stressed, saying, look, guys, you went up by 30 shooting mostly 2s and then taking advantage of your open 3s. There's no need to force that when it's not there.
Don't want to become too one-dimensional. Immediately outside to Wirtz, trying anything to get past Hart. And steps on the baseline. Wirtz doesn't like it, but Lynchburg will have possession. That's just an example of that trap down low.
Evan, I wonder how far our near side official is tonight. I think Jason Easton's a good about 6'4". Official had an inch or 2 on him, so.
Anytime that the officials have some extra height, maybe it gives you a little more authority for the calls. How about JP for 3? You're going to hear it a lot this season.
Well, and there you go. I said, Jason Easton coming back into the game. Jordan Parham back on the floor now. That is his game. He is a great shooter if he just stays in rhythm, takes it, doesn't need to put it on the floor, just be a rhythm shooter. Did a great job knocking it down there. I think that's the second or third one he's hit tonight. So certainly taking advantage of the open looks that Regent continues to give him.
Mealy forced shot on the other end. Makovic was going up, but he lost it, and Regent will regather. Even the looks that aren't going in, it just seems like Lynchburg is finding the open man. That's something that lots of ODAC teams do well with, especially non-conference. You have some teams that have 1 or 2 guys that are really the ones that are standouts on paper, and obviously Lynchburg, you have to really investigate that roster a little bit, but the way Coach Scott talked at the beginning of the season, he's saying, well, everyone's sort of capable. It's just who can do it on the given day. And right now, it's Makovic. She's going to be called, never mind, it's going to be on the floor. Foul, might have had to travel otherwise.
Yeah, Mason Makovic, I didn't really have that on my bingo card. Him picking a pass out near the perimeter and then trying to run the length of the floor. It looked a little bit uncomfortable, slightly outside of his comfort zone. He's laughing about it right now, but hey, he draws the foul, keeps it on this end.
Saw the entire Hornets bench get up about that. Almost gets an easy look the other way. Here's Easton, 1 dribble behind the perimeter and in.
Extra pass. Extra pass. That's all that needs to be said. Extra pass. Miles Taylor passes up a good shot for a great one.
A little bit of Popovich offense as foul is drawn. Looks like Wirtz was going into the padding as he will toe the stripe for 2.
Didn't have a whole lot of free throws there in the first half, just 7 between the 2 teams combined. It's picked up a little bit. These are the first attempts for Regent here, second half.
Just an example of how quick the game has been going. Sometimes in transition can be lots of stop and go with that fouling, but the way Lynchburg has done it, especially spreading the floor and getting looks, haven't seen as many as number 1 Andrew John steps in for Regent.
You mentioned that pace of play, the speed. Lynchburg's already put up 25 points in the second half. We're not even 8 minutes gone by. If you asked me that, and I didn't already know just from some simple math, I probably wouldn't have guessed that they'd put up 25 points already. They've done it in a hurry. They've done it efficiently.
Easton, a little dish to Makovic. It is poetry and motion right now in Turner. And who wants it, who's going to pass it, might be the better question.
I think when you have a team, Evan, that guys want assists more than baskets, you have something special.
Parham, he slips, but Taylor puts it in. And they might take a second to dry the floors. You see a few guys from the Hornets going out, making sure you keep everybody safe out there. Either way, Lynchburg gets 2. And right now, they are pouring it on in the Hill City, 73-27 when we return.
When creating a sustainable future, your choices matter, even your choice of a college. The University of Lynchburg is the first college in Virginia to go carbon neutral. Our dining hall is Green Restaurant certified. We compost all of our food waste and purchase our electricity from landfill gas. Now we're turning a hazardous lake into a thriving urban wetland. When you choose Lynchburg, you leave a smaller footprint while building a better tomorrow.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals.
.11:47 to play here in Lynchburg. Regent taking on the hometown Hornets, and big lead in the second half with, just over 11 minutes to play. But what we have seen from an energy standpoint, it has never wavered, even from those first few minutes of getting the lead.
12 different Hornets have recorded a basket now in the game. Only Alex Fitch and Michael Gray have yet to reach the scoring column of those that have played, and I'm sure we will see them in the last 11:26 here, not on the floor right now, but I'm sure they will get ample opportunity, and especially a guy like Fitch with the stroke that he has from deep, I think he'll probably find his way onto the scoring column if we see him again.
Lots of guys who can shoot on this roster. One of the difference makers is Alex Fitch, as we touched on, and even some of the big guys. We've seen Cam O'Connor. How about Landon Sutton right in front of the bench? Feel it and fire.
That's all confidence. Landon struggled a little bit with his shot last year, just 29% from the floor, 26% from three. Knocks down his first one that he took this season. He just stepped right into it. Again, it's kind of like we've said with Jordan Parham. When you have those open looks and it's in rhythm, don't second guess yourself. Step up to the task, knock it down. They're great shooters. They can do it when they have the space to work with.
That's what can separate good from great in basketball. You get those open looks, you can't even take a second to think about it. We see lots of coaches around the nation. Sometimes they'll focus on getting that extra step or two, getting an easy two. I think Coach Scott is saying we can take the three. I'm not going to get frustrated if there are any open looks that are going for misses. As Sutton on the other end, seemed like he got the turnover, yes. And quick foul on Regent. It's number 4. And Wirtz going to pick up. No, it will be number 3, DJ Dillon.
Frustration foul there from Dillon. That's just, you look at the scoreboard. It's been a tough day. It's been a tough outing. And it's an 0-2 start to the year for Regent. So certainly things not quite going their way in the early going year. You're on the road, hostile environment. Energy's high from this Lynchburg team. That's just classic frustration foul here about midway through the fourth quarter. Second half. Got to get my mind out of the women's basketball quarters. Got to transition back to the half game.
Well, you mentioned earlier, we also have soccer and field hockey still going on. I'm not really sure what season it is. Makovic gets up. He might have touched the glass when he came down. And another easy two.
Kyle Haney's in the house. That means we can pull out the term vintage. Pair of vintage buckets there for Mason Makovic. That's Makovic ball. Take the drop pass in close. Touch the rim on your way up. The backboard, I should say. Put it nice and in. Nice and easy there. Mason Makovic smooth near the rim.
Kevon James will re-enter the contest. Jordan Parham will take a seat. And lots of high fives on the side. Landon Sutton going to take it back up the court, as we've talked about him a lot early in this game. The senior from High Point, played lots of point guard last season and really had some good looks, especially at times during conference where lineup was looking a little different each time, as Makovic gets another three.
I'll be honest, I didn't know Makovic could shoot threes. I've never seen him take one that I remember. Taking advantage there of the zone look that they're continuing to see from this Regent defense. Late on the switch there, late on the closeout was Joakim Marie-Joseph. I don't mind it. Open shot, you're up by now over 50 points. Why not? Makovic gets on the board with a three.
Take what you can get. James was looking outside. He's fouled first. And that will be foul number 8 on Regent. So Lynchburg going to be in the bonus. Saw it was activated on that last foul, but it was off the ball. So it'll be Kevon James shooting 2. And Michael Gray re-enters the contest as well, one of those freshmen that we saw early on. He's another three-shooter, one of those shot makers.
Hair under 73% at the line last year for Kevon James. A really good free throw shooting team. That was one thing Lynchburg did really well a season ago. That's continued tonight. They've been confident, poised at the line, just like they've been in the regular flow of play.
Free throws can be such an equalizer, especially when that competition picks up in ODAC play. That can win or lose ball games, and though some of the players might not necessarily like hearing it, coaches will harp on you all season long to make the easy ones. Regent working outside. Marie-Joseph just going to hold it. No open looks. Makovic stays in front. Nice pass to Johns. Still spreading the floor. Shot clock at 10. Dillon back to Johns. Pull-up jumper is good. And nice looking possession there from Regent. Just being patient, letting the shot clock simmer down a little bit, and making sure you hit the easy one.
I like the energy that Johns has provided to this Regent team off the bench. Anytime he's come in the game, it seems like we're calling his name for something good. He's given some good defense on the other side as well.
2-point attempt up, just a little heavy. It will be a foul. And it's going to send number 13, Darren Clark, to the line. 4th foul of the half for Lynchburg. And Sam, maybe a little easy to start trying to project it. We talked about it in the first half, but Lynchburg on pace for that century mark if they keep shooting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure they were going to get there. Things slowed down a little bit in the first half, but the second half has arguably been even better. Lynchburg close to doubling up its first half score. That'd be 88 would be the number. They're 5 points away from it, and they've played just north of 11 minutes here in this second half. So, yeah, it's closing in on it, 17 points to go. We'll certainly keep an eye on that down the stretch here.
Seeing lots of strong play across the roster, and for Regent, these first few games of the season, talked about a lot of freshmen. Well, maybe a baptism by fire approach, trying to get those reps. As Gray goes up, looks like there was a foul. It's caught on the floor. Still will go to the line for the bonus.
Something else to keep an eye on, just on the back burner. Record for field goals made in a game for Lynchburg is 54. Still a decent bit away from that. They're at 30 right now. We won't rule it out, though, with the way the second half has gone so far.
You have to wonder what coaches were thinking when over 50 field goals went down for a game. Obviously, you do the easy math, that's over 100 points, but that is a modern-day NBA score.
Yeah, that was 1966, Evan, so that was 2 balls going down.
The entire way. If Lynchburg didn't have that three-point line, I think they would feel a little less optimistic, but they have been outstanding, spreading the floor. Makovic will go to the bench. He's been really good, and Alex Fitch steps back in with 8:30 to play. Johns working to the corner. Nice defense from James. Just going to lob it in to Marie-Joseph. Sutton says, I'll take it. Nice. Wrap around trying to get inside. Can't do. And Regent transition the other way. Be a foul on Fitch.
Clark, good job getting Fitch in the air there. Attacked the basket strong with his head up. Clear what he was going to do. Fitch goes up to contest, slides right under him. It's a foul every time. Do like what Sutton did the last time. You know, that was sort of the last-ditch effort there, trying to inbound the ball. They have to go to Marie Joseph, far away from the basket, certainly not somewhere he's comfortable having the ball. Sutton's there to just pick it away from him. He had everything but the finish on the coast-to-coast attempt.
Sutton's hands have been active all game long. One of those guys, especially as a point guard, sometimes those types of efforts will go unnoticed, but defense, one of those main priorities from Coach Scott this year. He hammered it down early in this season, especially with some of those preseason workouts. One of the cool things about Lynchburg, having lots of guys almost in pods. You think about the North Carolina area, the Durham area, so you're getting a lot of those workouts with your teammates.
Thought that was maybe one pass too many. I thought Fitch should have gone ahead and just pulled the trigger there, top of the key, had the space that he needs to work with, but Lynchburg's still patient. No need to be in a hurry. Can run that shot clock down a little bit. I understand that.
Marie Joseph had nice effort on the defensive end, and moving the other way is Henderson. He took a strong collision with the floor. Looks like he will be okay, and he's going to go to the stripe.
Henderson, a Conference Player of the Year at Crossroads Christian out of Durham, North Carolina. Certainly somebody that Coach Scott, the entire coaching staff, was excited to get in the door. Coach Scott, we asked about him. He was one of the players, especially among the newcomers, we really wanted to touch on. Just when you look at the profile, he came in sort of as a wing, combo guard forward. He stands at 6'3", 190. And, Coach Scott said, we don't have a guy like him. We haven't had a guy like him. So certainly he fills a spot that's been a little bit of a hole in this roster in the last couple years.
Always two aspects to getting transfers or freshmen. It's the cultural side and the physical side, and it seems like those boxes are both checked with what Lynchburg brought in. And the interesting thing is you see a player with one program, it can be an entirely different look with a new system, and this transition offense really allows people to get more touches throughout the game. Henderson up in the air. It's going to be a foul under the basket. Darren Clark will go back to the line to shoot two. He has done a nice job of getting to the free throw line.
Good contest from Henderson. Again, got caught in the air, and Regent's starting to do a much better job at understanding, having that spatial awareness. When your defender gets up in the air, attack hard to the basket, you're going to draw the foul. It does give me a chance to talk about Henderson again, though, because I was cheating him out of a couple of inches, 3 to be exact. Actually 6'6". I was cheating up on my spotting chart. I think I had Jonathan Faust circled there. So it's actually 6'6", 210. That makes my point stand out a little bit more. I was looking at him at the free throw line. I said, there's no way that's 6'3". So give those 3 inches there back to the freshman, J.J. Henderson.
I mean, I know we're short, but you start questioning yourself a little bit when you're trying to make 6'6" something that is 6'3", as Clark will take the free throw. And to that point, with some of the length that we see as Henderson gets the rebound, an exact example of it, rebounding often directly related with defense as Fitch finishes in the paint and continuing to hum is this Lynchburg offense.
There's 13 Lynchburg scores. Fitch and Gray were our 2 that had played, that had not reached the scoring column yet. And guess who assisted on that Fitch basket? Number 30, Michael Gray.
Freshman has really had an impact on this one early. Pass down to Dillon. He's working to the corner. Fitch just trying to stay in front. Ball you man on defense, and Lynchburg, a lot of communication, but a better shot from Nice.
They say long 2 on that one. Thought that might have been the second 3 of the game for Regent. Not quite.
Henderson, a little too greedy on the pass. It's going to go out. And stepping into the game is Stephen Barber. We haven't said his name yet tonight. The sophomore from Salem, Virginia. Glenver graduate, just about an hour and change down the road. And again, Coach Scott's bench, it just seems like with that many people on this team, you get your shot, you got to go and bring energy.
Regent gets the 3 back there. Yes, Stephen Barber, a high school classmate of Lynchburg women's basketball, is Olivia Harris. Leading scorer each of the last 2 seasons, Harris. She was the leading scorer in game 1 as well. And then sticking with the freshman trend, Letty Michael leading the way for the ladies the other night, last night I should say, against Bob Jones. Believe it was wound up being about 16 for Letty Michael.
And a really close effort as well. Lynchburg went down 15-2 to start the first half and got the victory. So clearly Something started to work as it's a charge. Sutton took it, and we're going to head the other way.
Interesting. I believe our call's now up to Evan. 3 charges to 2 blocks called tonight. So we thought we might see some of those 50-50s swing a little more 60-40 in favor of the block. Instead, the charges taking a slight lead here on night 1 of the regular season for Lynchburg.
Fitch up for 3, a little heavy. And it just shows that this team is confident to take the charge. That means that they are a lot more confident in their defense, getting set early. Something that Coach Scott really wanted them to work on. Playasso went up. Henderson tried to bring it down, but it's a foul called.
Really good job there by Playassi. Drew Sutton, who was sort of backpedaling a little bit, drew him all the way out to the three-point line. Sutton trying to deny the pass, then cheats back down, cuts back towards the basket. Entry pass is right on the money, gets to the free throw line.
Playassa has had a good impact off this bench, and speaking of benches, these are two teams, very interesting point. If you look at the last game for both, for Regent, you just got to go back to last night against Shenandoah. 42 of 58 came off the bench in the scoring column, and then Lynchburg, their last game of last season versus Eastern Mennonite, 42 of 56. So another demonstration of just the depth that these two teams have.
That's a piece we haven't even really talked about much, and probably not doing quite our due diligence to Regent either. Yeah, they just played 40 minutes last night of basketball that counted against Shenandoah. A similar ODAC foe, a team that, what a game that was last year between Lynchburg and Shenandoah. That one coming down to the final possession. Shenandoah, the walk-off win right here on this court. So back-to-back ODAC competition nights here for this Regent team. It's tough to be on the road, especially early in the year.
Not exactly a quick trip as Dillon went up. He's going to get the 2. Can't tell if it's goaltending or if it went in, but either way, add 2 to Regent's tally. And the ODAC, so many schools in the Commonwealth. We know Guilford, the only team that is outside of Virginia, but that's why you see lots of teams on some of those road trips early in the season. Bob Jones did that with Lynchburg and Randolph. You travel 10 minutes across town, and you'll find another ODAC foe.
Tyler Buggs into the game for Lynchburg, 6'6". I believe it's redshirt freshman, transfer from Emmanuel University, playing his first real-time basketball in over a year per Coach Scott's counting. So good to see him back on the court, and a little bit of evaluation for him to see where he fits into this big man rotation that Lynchburg just simply did not have last year. So the luxury of having 4 or 5 guys that they can play at the 5 spot, I think, is just as valuable as having those 2 dependable guards, particularly in Hart and DeAndre Ross.
Got to come in quickly and use that body as Parham on the other side goes up, just no good from 3.
Good shot for Parham.
Another open look. 4:25 to play. Royals trying to set up the offense. Clark, little hesitation, and he's going to get the floater.
There's Mr. Haney in the house. He's always giving his shout-outs. We got a packed house here tonight for opening night. Some celebrities in the stands. So we see the first strong take there from Buggs. He's denied there in close. Good defense. I got to give a special shout-out there to Mark Nice. He's definitely undersized in that matchup, both in height and weight. But he does a good job contesting Buggs. Buggs will go to the line. But at previous point, President Allison Morrison Shetler in the house, as well as several of our favorite Lynchburg professors in here taking in some great basketball action here on a rare Saturday evening game for this Lynchburg team.
Well, I was just going to say, you don't always get the luxury of having these contests, and especially with the way fall sports wraps up, you have contests on Schellenberger Field that might hold precedence for that nightcap, but Lynchburg will have a few night contests throughout the year, and even on weekdays, you build the profile early, you show what you can do, then more and more people will come out to support.
Professor Price Blair in attendance, Associate Athletic Director of Strength and Conditioning, Ed Smith, in the house as well. He's got to be liking what he's seeing. A lot of strong takes here tonight. Lynchburg showing off what they've gained in the weight room over the offseason.
Athleticism is something that is certainly a process. Doesn't take a few days to fix it. It's not tactical. You have to come out and really devote yourself over the months. It seems like Lynchburg has done so. Buggs was posting up down low. Parham trying to get separation into the lane, and seemed like everyone had a hand on it. Bugs, another move under the rim. He's going to get an offensive rebound and puts it back in.
Add Bugs to the scoring column. You can see he's kind of getting his game legs under him, leaving a lot of these shots just a little bit short, probably trying to adjust, especially at his, bigger height. Sometimes it's hard. The ball starts to feel like a little Nerf ball in your hands, especially coming back after a prolonged absence, but good to see him get his first bucket here in a Lynchburg uniform.
Offensive rebound and back up and in. And Chaz Moody will get another one for Regent. Final 3 minutes of play. Henderson goes up, side of the basket. He does get fouled. He'll go to the line for 2.
Jake Hart back on the floor again tonight. Interesting lineup, one we haven't seen yet. Henderson, Hart, Parham, Barber, and Bugs. What a great last name, Bugs.
Maybe
fun
we'll
to
see.
Announce that this year.
Maybe we'll see some of the bunny hops later on in the season. Henderson knocks down the first.
Low-hanging fruit there, low-hanging fruit.
You wonder, too, with some of these lineups, you get the starters who are coming out every single game, a few variations from Coach Scott, but they're really familiar with playing with each other, so you bring a few of these bench players in, and it can be great reps at this point of the season to develop it so that late in the season, if there are a few injuries or so, then you're ready to play.
Big Matt Johnson into the game. Comes in at 6'10". Senior true center, checking in for his first minutes of the year, and he's somebody who's going to command all the attention immediately. Again, 6'10". You don't see that every day in Division III.
Got his hand on it right away. There's no faking that height. 6'10" is someone that on the floor can always make an impact. Barber for 3, and he is feeling it. 3 fingers in the air. And Lynchburg up 50+ with 2:20 to play.
Barber feeding off the crowd a little bit there. Really cool. He's having a good night here in game 1 for Lynchburg.
And how about Bugs with the rebound? Newcomers all around. Parham tried to just collect and take his time. It does go off Regent. And Michael Gray steps back in, replacing Jordan Parham.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable from Parham there. We can't have these turnovers here late in the game. That's going to earn you a ticket. No,
it's horrible.
I'm just kidding. Great to see, though, Michael Gray back into the game. We'll see if he can round out the scoring column here. Still looking for those first 2 points, or 3. He's going to try a 3 in rhythm.
That would have been poetic if it hit the bottom, but instead Royals will have possession. Final 2 minutes. Still running this offense and getting some decent looks. A lot of their shots just haven't been able to fall tonight. Another one from Marion Brown as he tried to get into the lane, and Lynchburg will repossess. It's tough to really pick out 1 or 2 players that have been impressive today. Michael Gray gets another look, can't finish. An offensive rebound.
Gray's firing him off now. He knows it. Time's ticking down. Matt Johnson, I think the roof would have come off. He's going to go to the line for 2. That one just about dropped. Another one to LHS end zone. Matt Johnson going to the line for 2.
Johnson a chance to get his first point of the season, and 4 points away from 100 are the Hornets. 1:32 to play. And Nice has fouled out. We'll see another substitution. It'll be Matthew Mealy who comes in to replace him for the Royals. And anytime early in the season that you're fouling out, there are a few times where might be a little less disciplined, but I think for Nice, he's just been so active today down low, and not always a bad thing if you're Coach Poland. Rim on the first one, and no good. Ten fouls on Regent, 7 on Lynchburg, so both teams in the bonus in the final minutes. And Johnson will rim in the second one.
3 points away. 1 basket could do it, Evan. That'll get the people on their feet. Not every day you see the century mark using all 3. Actually, yeah, it looks like they did sneak a 1 there on the scoreboard. I was about to say, I'm not sure we even have space for 3 numbers up there, but it looks like we can't go to 200, but 100's okay.
We'll have to see if the Hornets can do it. They'll have a couple possessions left, but how about the bucket from Darren Clark? He was a little off balance, but he makes it look easy. And here is the 100 attempt for the Hornets. Barber from the corner. It's going to hit the front rim.
Barber was calling for it as soon as Hart crossed the timeline there. Leaves it a little bit short, but not a bad attempt there.
Another move from Darren Clark. He is so shifty when he can get into the lane, but can't connect. And Matt Johnson under the rim. He's just going to lay it in. I think everyone wanted the dunk, but 2 points nonetheless.
3 points for Matt Johnson tonight. He's got it on right underneath the basket, and then a free throw to add to his total.
Maybe final possession of the ball game for Regent. Clark shot off, and it looks like it went off Brown. Hornets will gain possession. Now you're at almost a coaching decision. Like,
yeah.
Okay, 100 is cool, but.
Yeah. I was just about to say, it's time for you and I to practice our late game situation here up in the broadcast booth. What do you do if you're Coach Scott? You're 1 point away from 100. He's going to do the respectful thing. They're just going to dribble it out. Of course, still playing tight defense here as Regent. They're going to play all the way to the last whistle. We'll see if Hart puts up a shot in response. No, the freshman takes the high road. You got to love that. And you got to, you know what, you got to respect Regent playing all the way to the final whistle as well. You want to see that hustle all the way throughout.
Well, if you want a spot in the starting lineup again, probably smart not to take the shot as Hart doesn't. 99-45 is your final from Turner Gymnasium. There are so many points that we could run down, but I think the overwhelming truth to this contest is that Lynchburg is ready for their schedule. They, last year, 2 really tough contests to enter the year, and this time Regent, a team facing a tough back-to-back on the road for both, but the Hornets really just asserted dominance early.
Yeah, and take a look at the schedule coming up now for Lynchburg. First, though, for Regent, they're going to take on Carlo out of Pennsylvania. That'll be a home game, first home game of the year for Regent. That'll be next Saturday, a little bit of time off, 7 days. That'll be 2 p.m. tip. But for Lynchburg, next up is a Pfeiffer team that Lynchburg picked up a 9-point win over last season. That was over the winter break. Elijah Davis, the leading scorer in that one last year. He knocked down 4 or 5 threes in that one, if I remember correctly. He's out with a hamstring injury right now, so we won't have him back for that one. But then a big-time test. They'll travel to Mary Washington, the alternating home and away series there. That was certainly a Mary Washington team that got the best of this Lynchburg team a year ago, left a bad taste in their mouth, and that's really going to be a proving ground here early in the schedule for this Lynchburg team.
Well, it seems like they're ready, and especially with some of that flair they brought out tonight, they just have a new sense of confidence. And Sam will leave you with one final stat. Everybody who entered this game for Lynchburg scored a bucket, and it's pretty special when you see it up and down the bench. Only one in double figures was Cameron O'Connor down low, and so sharing the ball and getting things done were the hometown Hornets today.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a whole lot to nitpick here. I think if you're picking things out, that's exactly what you're doing. You're picking nits, as Bill Simmons would say. A shout out to one of my favorite podcasts there, shameless plug here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Yeah, rebounding was great, hustle was great, defense was great, passing was great, and a balanced scoring attack. I mean, from a coaching perspective, that's a coach's game, right? And how fitting that Cam O'Connor, the coach on the floor, as deemed by Coach Scott, he's your leading scorer tonight. He leads the way with those 14 points. 7 assists, we will note that, a team-high 7 assists for Jake Hart, the freshman. Picture-perfect debut for him. The scouting report we were given, he's not going to look to score. He's passed first. 4 points, 7 assists, 1 turnover is the stat line. That sounds like a prototypical pass first point guard to me.
Well, 27 assists on the day as well for Lynchburg. Maybe that highlights the passing on display and the transition offense. But we wish we could stay with you. We're going to have to say so long here in non-conference play. Remember, this is just the beginning of the season, and there is something really special brewing from Turner Gymnasium. So on behalf of Sam Graham, I am Evan Gates saying so long from the Hill City, Lynchburg 99, Regent 45.